It any second now. There we go. Hey, honeys and hunks. I still love our opening. I still think it's great. Hey there, guys. So it's that time of the week. We got a new episode of Hard Court Honeys. As always, we have the gal from the North. We have Jade Auxiliary Things Johnson. So,
Hey.
how you been this week with basketball?
It's been a slow beginning of the week, but then I was watching the tournament games. So early week was like just Raptors. I didn't have the concentration or patience for anybody else. But yesterday, the in-season tournament games were fantastic, and the day before were a lot of fun.
Yeah, I actually caught some Raptors games this week with that NBA League Pass.
I'm sorry for you. I'm sorry.
Hey, I got excited about Scotty. I got excited about
Right,
Scotty.
okay, I have to be on board. Like, Scotty is freaking exciting, and even Raptors fans do not understand. There are so many Raptors fans that are like, oh, he's not a franchise player. I'm like, what are you talking about?
As a team that really has been bouncing around from franchise player to franchise player, granted we have Ant now, but seeing Scotty, he's got the swagger already.
Scotty's special,
So
yes.
he may be not now because he's what, third year?
Yep, this is third season.
Okay, yeah.
2 seasons from now, he's going to be unfreaking stoppable. 2 seasons.
But we can get that to that a little bit later. As also we have up top, we have Shay at Shay Watches NBA Vassar. How's your basketball intake been this week?
I don't even know if I watched any. I've been just trying to keep up with my fantasy and job and like the world on fire, just like usual.
I keep forgetting you have a fantasy team this season. We need to talk about that more.
I know.
I've got 3.
I'm last in my league, so I'm not doing so hot.
Yeah.
I had to take a breather from fantasy this year. It's so tough to keep up with basketball fantasy.
I love it.
It's so tough. But if you got it, it's when you get that one injury and then you're screwed.
Yeah.
Are you kidding? Between my 3 rosters, I've got Lauri Markkanen injured, Kristaps Porzingis injured, Jamal Murray just came back, CJ McCollum just came back, Lonzo Ball is injured indefinitely. Like, I'm hoping to get this out of the way at the beginning of the season and kind of like get through Christmas and to the All-Star break and have smooth sailing. That's what I'm hoping happens.
That is, I mean, once it hits January, that's when it's really game time.
Right.
Okay, so before we deep dive into today's episode, don't forget to follow us on Facebook and YouTube at Hardcourt Honeys, and then at Hardcourt Honeys on Instagram, and then HC Honeys on Twitter. And we're getting back to the podcast system, so you'll be finding us anywhere there. And yeah, so this week we are going to be talking about with the Celtics, they're being number 1 in the league right now, or at least number 1 in the Eastern Conference, depending on how the Wolves do. Ooh, ooh. But anywho, is it without Marcus Smart? Did they lose much, or are they actually better now with it? Orlando or Pacers? What do we got going on with that? Cavs, I haven't heard anything about them much this year. I don't know if you guys have, which they're a good team, but why aren't we hearing about them? There's got to be going back. All right, Suns, we're getting in rhythm now. They're getting flow. People are coming back. Injury, things are going. Rockets, 8-1 at home, 0-8 away, 3 straight loss. Is this going to be what the end of it all? Zion's back. CJ McCollum's back. Watch out, Pels. Who knows? We're going to dive in. Okie dokie, Eastern Conference. Like I was saying, Celtics are number 1, and they don't have it. Don't have Marcus Smart, but they have replaced with Drew Holiday, and also Kristaps Porzingis is injured, but has done well. And the continuation of the growth of Derek White. Jade, would they be as good with Marcus Smart as they are now?
Yeah, I think so. Like at the beginning of the season, I was not ready to endorse the Celtics because I wasn't sure that they were going to be able to absorb the loss of Marcus Smart. I'm convinced now they've done exactly what they wanted to do. They're at the top of the Eastern Conference. They're winning the games they should win. They're in all the other games. Like you mentioned, Derek White is having a crazy good start to the season. I think we could still call it a start to the season. It's week 7. So I'll stop calling it start at like week 10, maybe.
We are at game 20 almost. So we're a quarter of the way through. So I think we're a quarter of the way in. I think we can say we're in the season.
Yeah, we should. I'll say I like the quarter number. It's because it's like it still says early, but it's not like 5 games.
Right.
In.
Yeah. Once it hits Christmas, that's when it's real game time.
Yes.
Favorite day of the year. Oh, I'm so glad.
I'm so excited.
Anywho, for real. Which has been more of an upgrade, Shay? Them getting Drew Holiday or the growth of Derek White?
I think Drew Holiday.
Drew Holiday?
I mean, I'm not any expert on this, but I just like Drew Holiday.
I think everyone does. I think everybody wants.
He's the kind of guy that you put on any team. He's going to be a team player. He's going to be professional, and he's going to produce. Like, he's one of those guys in the NBA that's just like, who wants Drew Holiday? Everybody wants
everyone.
Who doesn't want Drew Holiday?
How I looked at it is, so when like the Bucks got Drew Holiday, kind of viewed it as like Pau Gasol and Kobe, where the fact where that first, because they only got halfway through the season, they didn't get a full season rep. But then once they got that full season, that's when they won the title. It was literally the next season. That was with Drew Holiday and the Bucks. They needed they just needed a little bit to get to know each other.
Yeah.
Do you know what he did speaking of Drew Holiday? You know what he did when he was a Pelican? He retired, and then his wife, who is on the U.S. women's national soccer team, or at least was at the time, she'd gotten a brain tumor. So he kind of quietly retired to take care of their kid and take care of his wife. And the Pels were like, okay, we're going to give you still a little bit of your paycheck for it because you're doing what you're doing right now. And they're like, we'll open you back to open arms. And yeah, then he came back. I think he just missed out on Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins. Damn. That would be great. But anywho, also Porzingis, Jade, how have you been liking him with that team?
Man, he was great when he was not freaking injured.
Right.
He's and because he's a center. Centers are so important in fantasy basketball. But like, yeah, he's playing really good basketball. And I think we're just kind of seeing like the progression from his previous season in Washington, which was kind of his first season in a long time that he seemed to get any kind of momentum in his stats, and his playing consistency. He got enough run in Washington last season without being too injured so that he was able to just kind of pick that up where he left off in Boston this season. I don't have I haven't seen any updates on when he's going to be back. I'm hoping it's sooner than later. He's been out for a hot minute now. So
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully he'll be back shortly, but yeah, like, I mean, and for the Celtics to be where they are when he's been injured, like your starting center, and to be rolling like that, the sky's the limit for them when he gets back.
It does help, though. They got Al Horford, which Al Horford is like the big man version of Mike Conley. He's always going to help you out no matter how it's going to be. So you have that as your backup center, a guy who's been with the team for a long time, or at least like a couple times. I think they got a lucky situation with it all. But
I was silly and I traded Al Horford away on my fantasy team.
Who'd you get for him?
Or maybe I just dropped him. I can't remember. It was not a smart move. It was not, and I'm lost in my league again. Do not take any of my fantasy advice.
He is, though. I will go to your defense. He is much more of a non-stat player when it comes to his objectives.
It's a lot of intangible. He's not the same fantasy player other guys are, even though he's super effective for his team.
Yes, he is a on the defensive end, a great floor general.
Yeah.
He knows how to point out everything. That's why a couple of years ago I said Al Horford Defensive Player of the Year. Rudy
Yeah.
Gobert got it instead. So, I mean, looking at my team, I'm like, yeah, we got that guy. But so right now, there's two surprising teams right now that are really fun to watch, and it's going to be Orlando and Pacers. So Orlando, from the few games I've actually watched this year, it's much more team oriented. Yes, Paulo is doing great. Franz is also growing into a great player himself, but it's still a young team. But they're pulling out some hard wins. While Pacers, I mean, Halliburton, that's just kind of one of the things you could say. Like,
Man, that kid.
you were watching him play last night.
Yes.
So
He's
I want to hear
ridiculous.
your take just at first on Halliburton.
Yeah, well, first I just want to say the fact that again this year we have more surprise teams that nobody saw coming.
Right.
How awesome is that?
I love it.
And I see this happening every year now, and it's just the best time in my life to have been a basketball star. Nothing is basketball fan. Nothing is predictable. And like, you know, last year we had teams come out of nowhere that we were like, oh, like it was the Kings last year. Where did the Kings come from? What's going? And now we've got two teams in the Eastern Conference, and Orlando was like bottom of the barrel NBA team 2 seasons
NBA
ago.
purgatory.
So, like, it's so exciting. But yeah, Tyrese Halliburton, my gosh, can that boy play some hoops? And it's not even just that he shoots the way he shoots. He passes well, he sees the floor, and he has that X factor. That thing that makes him him, like De'Aaron Fox has it, is another player that I think of right now in the league who is like just coming into their own, and their own is going to be like, holy crap.
Just think they were almost teammates. Both
Yeah.
Fox and Halliburton. I don't know if that
This is better. No, it wouldn't work. They both needed their own space for sure.
I agree.
I still look at that trade is a win-win.
For sure.
Both teams got it. Sabonis was the big piece that pushed the Kings over. Halliburton was at least a solidified franchise player, where Sabonis was already kind of going, and they weren't going. But no, watching him play last night was crazy.
Can we just talk about his shot too for a second?
That's what I was literally about to bring that up right now.
He has the most
shot and
unorthodox looking shot. And I heard him on Old Man and the Three a few weeks ago, and they talked about that, of course. Mm-hmm. And he talked about how when he was playing AAU hoops, he was always the smallest, so he had to learn to get his shot off quickly, and that's why his shot looks insane. But it falls all the time. He shoots right from the hip too. It's crazy.
Whenever you have a player that shoots that extreme, 9 times out of 10, they're a bucket.
Yeah.
Or they can be at times. There's very few players that have like the janky form that are like, oh, you can still play. There was one guy, Michael Kidd Gilchrist. He shot like this.
Oh, I remember him. Yeah,
that one didn't work. But if you look, I don't know if you guys remember the Kevin Martin. He just flick it out. Barely bent his wrist or anything like that.
And just for context on Halliburton's shot, so far this season, he's shooting 52.1% from the field and 44.7% from three. His career stats are 48 from the field and 41 from three. So like crazy efficiency on top of, and he's averaging almost 27 points right now, 4 rebounds and almost 12 assists. So talk about a team player. Not only is he getting he's dishing out almost 12 assists a game. Like what?
And then it also helps that Miles Turner is also having a career year. Maybe like I think he's putting up some career stats years, but just as a whole, when you look at everything together, he's looking real good. And I've always been a fan of him, so that just might be me also looking into it more. But
here's the stats if we want him. He's averaging 16.6%, 16.6 points, a game. 7.9 rebounds, 1.4 assists. He's also shooting 50.7% from the field, and he's shooting 32.9 from three.
What's his
So like
block
Stat Muse does not give me that one quickly. Hang on. Blocks. Where's my
Come on,
season
Stat
average?
Muse.
Here we go. Blocks 2.3.
Right there. Right there. Like, okay, I'm a little disappointed with the 3-point shot because usually he was at least a little bit better than that. But
that's his career average, but this season 2.1 still. So like not much of a dip.
Oh no. He will he's also I could go on about him. But team that I think we need to go on about though is the Cavaliers.
Yeah.
They are, like I said, where are they? Like,
so here's what's happened with the Cavaliers. Just add Donovan Mitchell to my list of fantasy players who have been injured. That's what's happening with the Cavs. Donovan Mitchell hasn't played very much, and he's the guy. He's the guy in Cleveland.
Because I was just like, is this another Utah team in the fact that they're going to be 4th, 5th in their conference? Because so you got Donovan Mitchell and then Jarrett Allen, Evan Mobley, like a Rudy Gobert player.
Right.
And then you have Garland, you think they'd be a little bit better. But I just thinking, Shay, is it just another reincarnation of the Utah Jazz he was just a part of?
Possibly. I mean, I feel like I know nothing about this team though. Like I feel like I don't even know about basketball today because it's just like these are like things that I don't know. Like, you know, it's such a weird, I feel like we're hitting like the deep tracks or something. What's it called? Like deep cuts? We're hitting the deep cuts of the NBA.
We're on the B sides.
Yeah, we're on the B side.
I think Cleveland is a piece away. Realistically.
I can see that.
Like Darius Garland, like Taylor mentioned, I thought would be better. He's not doing super great. He's a bit inconsistent. They need one more, like Donovan Mitchell. He goes out there, you know what you're going to get from him. Jarrett Allen also has been slightly inconsistent. Like they need one more guy who's going to go out and you know what you're going to get, and everybody else can fill in the spaces between Donovan Mitchell and whoever that next person is going to be.
Is it they had to add a piece, or does maybe Mobley have to take that next jump? Because he's got all the hype.
That's important too.
Because this could be an organically grown good team almost. Yes, getting Donovan Mitchell and stuff, but having, I guess Jarrett Allen was traded for. I guess it wouldn't be necessarily organic now that I think of it.
And like I'm just looking at their results from their games, and like it looks to me like they're beating teams they should beat, more or less, and they're not losing to teams that are like scrubs. Really.
If you can at least beat the teams you're supposed to beat, you're gonna at least pull out a 500 season.
Right.
You're gonna at least pull that out. But if they can sneak away with some of the other ones where they weren't technically supposed to win, things will be different. Like you said, Donovan Mitchell's still out. And what did we figure? It was like a hamstring?
Let me double check that.
It was hamstring. Because I remember I was freaking out that it was Achilles.
Yes, right. I remember.
He was injured on my 2K game. And I was like, well, that.
Oh, Donovan Mitchell's back tonight. He's playing.
Oh, well, there you go. Donovan's back. So let's see how they bounce back. Maybe we'll be talking about them later on a little bit because they've bounced back. Maybe Darius Garland needs Donovan Mitchell there to take some pressure off of him so Darius Garland can grow more. Who knows? That is. But since we don't know too much about Cleveland teams, I do think we should talk about teams that we do know about. And I think Jade's got that covered. There we go.
Man, I was like, that was so smooth. I wasn't even ready for how smooth that was.
I think that was a pretty good one. I'm proud of myself on that one.
All right. So welcome to Home Teams Week 7. It's been an interesting week, I think, for all of our teams. We all have some some things to talk about. I'm going to start with the Raptors just to get it out of the way, because there's not just basketball stuff happening with the Raptors. There's also legal stuff happening with the Raptors. Thank you, James Dolan. So you may or may not have heard that the Knicks accused former staffer of sending a lot of confidential scouting information to the Raptors' new head coach, Darko Rajakovic. Obviously, the Raptors deny this. They exchanged some letters by means of their lawyers saying, we didn't do this, but we're willing to cooperate with whatever investigation you want to do. Next thing you know, the Knicks are saying Adam Silver can't arbitrate this because Adam Silver's tight with Larry Tenenbaum, who is the head of MLSE, who owns the Raptors. And then all of a sudden there was a lawsuit. The lawsuit came out of nowhere. The Raptors were not expecting a lawsuit because they had already said, we're going to cooperate with you. So then the lawsuit being filed completely came out of the blue. So now the next big date is this coming Monday, December 11th, because there's going to be some kind of court ruling as to, I believe, whether or not this lawsuit goes forward or not. So that's happening. The other thing going on with the Raptors is they are massively unpredictable this season, as my last week's results will show you. I got all of my predictions wrong because we lost to the Nets. I'm not mad about that. We and the Nets are like right together. And Shay and I actually texted about this while the game was on. It's like, this could go either. It literally could have gone either way. Did not go my way this week.
Are your teams kind of similar situations?
Yeah.
A little bit. It feels like underdogs.
Scrappy, guys finding their way, young talent. Yeah, for sure. And then the Suns, of course, I expect the Raptors to lose to the Suns. No, this is what happens at the Suns. So the Nets and the Suns were back-to-back for us. We were in Brooklyn, and then we were home against the Suns the next day. They had plane trouble leaving Brooklyn. So they didn't get back to Toronto until 4 a.m. that morning, and then played the Suns at 7:30 and somehow put together this win. Then I'm just like, you guys, like I tweeted, like, this team has not been this confusing to follow in a hot minute. Like, I don't know what's going to happen any given day, because we beat the Pacers, we beat the Mavs, we keep beating that we should lose to, and we keep losing the teams that we should be beating. So it's just like, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. And then I thought we'd beat the Knicks. We did not beat the Knicks, but that's on me. I did not give the Knicks enough credit because I generally don't pay that much attention to the Knicks. But if I could go back and have that one to do again, I would call that a loss, because frankly, the Knicks are better than us right now. So
it's a Tom Thibodeau team.
Yeah.
They're going to hover around the middle of the conference, and then they'll maybe get to the second round. And then everybody's dead tired by it.
Well, and the things that are going on there, like Brunson is 18th in scoring in the league right now as of yesterday, because they played tournament yesterday. That's when I heard that. And Julius Randle was the player of the month, Eastern Conference player of the month this month. So like the Knicks got a little something happening, but like Taylor said, I still don't trust the Knicks.
Like,
not for playoffs.
Julius Randle's a workhorse, and I like him for that, but he can get real rough playing.
Yeah.
I had to agree with Stephen A. Smith.
When
he said, I think it was Stephen A. Smith, where he said one of the Knicks' biggest issues is their best player is always the second best player on the court. There's never a time where they have a player that's the best on the court.
The other team, somebody on the other team is always
always someone that's better than them. Like I said, they have the second best, and then maybe they have the third and fourth best player on the court too. But that first player, that's the player that could take over.
Right.
That's the killer.
Yeah.
And Brunson is great. Randall's great. But yeah, they're not the best on the court. I can pick out every single team almost where their other player is better. There's very few teams where it's not like that. Wizards, that might be excluded.
Toronto right now.
You think Scotty is not as good as?
I don't think he's there yet. I think he will be very soon, but I think he's got like a step and a half to take.
Okay.
But
He's
you get where Stephen A. Smith is coming from,
for
though.
sure.
At
Yes,
least when it comes to playing good
unfortunately.
teams.
And
When
you
they
hate
play-
when that happens, right?
I
Right?
think-
Like I hate to my very core when I'm forced to agree with Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah.
I hate
I
it.
think it would be better if he added against good teams,
Right.
against winning teams. When
True.
they stip, like when they get to playoffs where every team's got a really good player.
All right, we're gonna move on from
Yeah.
the Raptors last week. So that puts
Yeah,
me
next.
at 304 on the season in my predictions. I've just accepted this is gonna be one of those seasons where I just don't know what the F is gonna happen with the Raptors. We've yet to win 3 in a row. The new thing this week is Darko Rajakovic has promised he's taking the team to dinner once they get 3 in a row.
That's
Because we haven't done that yet.
a little motivation to get them to do it.
But like that's just the kind of season it's been. I don't expect to get my predictions right very much for the rest of the season. That's just where we're at.
It's just a
On
piece
the
of
other
garbage.
end of the spectrum, we have Shay, who had a little bit of a down week this week in her predictions, but got the Raptors win. Big in-show bragging rights there. Thought you would beat the Hornets. You lost to the Hornets. Very similar to a
sad.
Raptors situation, right? I could see that happening with the Raptors too. Like I expect us to
Right.
beat the Hornets and we don't. That's the kind of thing. And then you thought you'd lose to the Magic. Again, perfectly reasonable prediction based on what those teams have been doing, but you guys
Right.
beat the Magic. So you didn't watch. Did you get any of the highlights? You know who's doing what?
I mean, yeah, and I think like one thing that I think is really helpful is that not all NBA teams, but I really like the Brooklyn Nets social media.
Yeah.
And that's not just being biased. Like that's like they give like a good overview. I was actually talking with some big NFL fans this week who are like, I hate our social media, like because they just never can find out if they like miss a game or what's going on.
Mm.
And I feel like with the NBA, it's like a lot better. There are a couple teams that I think are lacking or not as good as some others. But
Yeah.
like the Nets social media helps me so much because like I'm able to Twitter, Instagram, like I catch up on what I miss super fast, super easy. There's visuals, there's videos, it's ready. So I don't know. Like I really like the team. Like I think that again, it's like right now we're just kind of missing like that like key piece.
Yeah.
But I think that like I don't know, like oh my gosh, why is his name? I can't think of a name right now. Oh my gosh. But I can remember Nets number. It's almost like I'm in front of a computer. Blah 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 blah. Cam Thomas has been really killing
I was
it.
thinking Cam Thomas. He
I
was
literally
injured,
and-
right?
He is, but like I think that is why it's a little bit like up and
Little
down right
wonky.
now because at
Yeah.
the beginning of the season he was breaking like league records,
Yeah.
which is
Dropping
crazy.
40.
Yeah,
Dropping 40s.
and I always will remember him too because my number when I played soccer was 24. It's my favorite number, so that's why in my head I was like number 24. That's sad. I should make sure to remember his name
It's
from
one
now
of
on.
those numbers that you come up with a kid and it just sticks with you for some reason for the rest of your
Exactly.
life. I'm like, yeah, 31's my lucky number. Why? Because
Why?
that was my first basketball number. That's
Yeah.
why. That's my
So
logic.
that makes me like happy, and I'm sad that I'm going to be going to an OKC game before I'll be going to a Nets game this year. But I will remedy it after the holidays. I will
There
come
you
back
go.
and go to a couple Nets games. So
All right, so shout out to Brooklyn Nets social media for keeping Shay caught up on the goings on. Shay, your record is 14-5 this season in your predictions. Well done,
Almost
sitting
as
at
good as the Timberwolves.
736. But not as good as Taylor. So last week, you did pretty good though. And you had the happy situation of your only wrong prediction being a win for the Timberwolves. So if you're going to get one wrong, that's how you want to do it, right? You want to predict a loss that ends up being a win. So you beat the Thunder in play-in tournament, in-season tournament play, beat the Jazz, beat the Hornets. Those are pretty easy wins for the team that is leading the Western Conference right now to predict.
I do think that this was my ballsiest week by saying all wins.
All wins, yeah.
All wins, right.
I agree.
Because they're one of the fan pages I'm a part of. They're like, okay, lifelong fans, what are 3 words to describe the season for you? And I was like, fan of 20 years, my 3 words, still is hesitant. I am still hesitant. People will finally come up to me at club. They're like, yeah, they're doing it. And I'm like, yeah, they're doing it.
We'll see.
They're doing
what
it.
happens.
Don't know how long, but they're sure doing
Like
it.
you said, we're only a quarter into the season. There's a lot of basketball left to play, but
And
3 wins last week. Your season without Anthony Edwards, which is wow.
And Jade McDaniels.
I know there's another person on my injured. Like all of my key pieces on my fantasy teams are injured right now because I've got Jaden McDaniels on the team and I've got Anton on the team too.
The Hornets game was, even though the score, this final score was not how it really went. Kat, Naz Reid, and Rudy Gobert all had over 20 points. Hornets have 0 big men.
Yep.
Rudy had 8 dunks. And 3 of them were alley-oops from Kat. Like, they have those 2 guys right now are clicking together. Mike Conley has been one of the biggest graces to Minnesota basketball over the past decade because we haven't had a leader like that in forever.
Yeah.
So, no, I don't. I still am really anxious about all of this, but I am happy with it.
Enjoy the ride, man. So that's our week 6 results. So we'll do a little update here on our win prediction results. So you've got 10 of your 42 predicted wins for the Nets so far, with 3/4 of the season left to go. I think we're looking pretty good. Taylor, 15 of 46. You are. I don't know. I'm getting close to saying the Timberwolves might have a 50-win season.
Wow, I can see it if they can keep it up.
If they keep up this pace, there's no way they don't.
I got 48. I might think 48 now, but I ain't doing 50. 50 is Kevin Garnett era, so that's why I say that.
We will revisit this as the season goes on, of course. And my Raptors haven't cleared 10 yet, the last of our home teams to not have 10 wins. Hoping to change that tonight, which is the perfect lead into my predictions for next week, because here we are. We've got the Heat. Yeah, it's not going to happen tonight. We're going to lose to the Heat tonight. We're going to beat the Hornets on Friday. And I want a revenge game against the Knicks this next Monday.
Do it in the Mecca.
Yes, and here's the thing. Pascal Siakam loves to play at MSG. So I'm looking for a big game for him, and I'm looking for a revenge win against the Knicks because I've had it with the Knicks. Moving on to Taylor's Timberwolves this week. We have the exact same schedules this week, by the way, because of the tournaments. We have all 3 of us games Wednesday, today, Friday, and Monday. So Wednesday versus the Spurs, win or lose?
Win.
Yeah.
They've been on a real, the only reason why I'm hesitant, they've been on a real rough road streak.
And it has to break eventually. Yes.
And it does have to be eventually.
It has to break eventually. But hopefully not against the Timberwolves.
It is a little bit of a little bit more sought after game because it is the 2 giant Frenchmen going at it.
Right.
So, and Rudy is coming off of some real good games. He is leading right now. He is the early vote getter for Defensive Player of the Year, which if he gets that, shut up, fans. Like Grizzlies, Jaw's still gone, so I think we got to win there. And Pelicans, I think we're gonna get a loss. They've been really annoyed.
They've been really annoying, and not only that, the Pelicans are about to play in the tournament. Like they could win.
Yeah,
the tournament, and there's no telling what the momentum from whoever wins that tournament, how that might carry through the rest of their season.
Yeah, that we'll get to in a split second later. So I might want to dish it over to Shay before I start going off.
Right.
All right. Side trip averted. Nets this week. Again, Wednesday, Friday, Monday. Tonight at Atlanta, the Hawks. What do you think? The Hawks are so hard to predict.
I was just about to say there's one of the other sporadic teams.
Yes, they will go off some nights, and then other nights it's just like, what are they doing at Atlanta? Like, what's happening?
Trey will drop 50 points, 10 assists, and then the team will have 130 points and still lose.
Well, and their record is very similar to the Nets. They're one apart. Like, so it's, you know what I mean? Like, they're performing similarly and as sporadically. I'm going to go ahead and say win.
Mm-hmm.
I think because I really want them to win. So hopefully they feel that.
Listen, when it comes down to a team that's really close to your home team, you got to take the home team. Like, no one's going to fault you for that. How about Friday, home to the Wizards?
We better win. I hope we win. Right. I hope we win. I hope we win. It could go the other way. I hope to God it doesn't.
And then Monday at Sacramento Kings.
I'm going to say a loss.
Yeah.
I will not bet against the Kings.
It's hard to bet against the Kings right now. Can we also talk about this schedule? Like, you go on the road to Atlanta, you come home in the middle of the week, and then you go out to California. Like,
it's horrible.
I remember when the NBA schedule used to make sense. And I miss those days. I miss them.
Like, I remember when I first started watching basketball. Like, I remember one of the segments when I first started watching SportsCenter, and I still cared about it, was when every team did the Wild West tour.
Right. You go to Texas, you hit all the teams, you go home.
And then you might hit up like Phoenix while you're down there too. You might have a 4-game and 6-night road trip.
Right.
That sucks, but that means you don't have to hit up that for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Or maybe you might see them another time, but it's like after 2 days after like a home game.
Especially for the Eastern Conference teams. Like, I don't understand the schedule. The same thing with California. There's 3-4 teams in California. Why can't the East teams play them all on the same trip?
Yeah. Like, it doesn't also help. Western Conference got 3 different time zones.
Right.
3 different time zones.
We only got 2.
Eastern can at least manage that. Okay, you have to push it back an hour later, or you got to push it an hour earlier.
Right.
Like, you have to, like, I kind of understand why there's a lot more Western Conference games on national television, because it's the only time that everyone can see those later games.
Yep.
But
all right. Well, with that is our predictions for the week. Check out our Twitter feed for all of those graphics. Follow along with us during the week. And now we are going to throw it back over to Taylor.
So we've hit the Eastern Conference. We've talked about our own teams. Now let's talk about that West Coast life. That's Western Conference life. What is going on? So Suns, they're kind of figuring some stuff out. And I think one of the things is because they're trying to stop using Bol. I'm sorry, that's me. But
also the Suns have had injuries. Devin Booker just got back into the lineup.
Yes, he just got back from it. So we're going to be seeing a surge from them because they are mad. Jade, how scared should the Western Conference be right now?
I think when you have 2 guys on your starting lineup who are walking buckets in Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, any team playing the Suns has to be worried. Like, you cannot go in complacent against this Phoenix team. You can't. It's a terrible idea. You're going to lose that way. So, and I think now that everybody's healthy again, if they can start clicking, well, not everybody, sorry, because who am I forgetting?
Bradley Beal?
Yes, thank you. I did see that he might be playing this week, though. So, again, they're going to get that next piece back that they put all together to hopefully make a deep playoff run. You have to take the Suns seriously. And what I've been super impressed with Devin Booker the last 2 seasons is his defense. He has really started to play like real committed defense. The effort is there.
He tries.
That's
and I mean, I want to try. I know you may not be the best. Try.
The effort. You can 100% effort doesn't matter how good or bad you are on it. The 100% effort matters, especially on the defensive end. So yeah, I'm excited to see them kind of come along. I've always had a bit of a soft spot for Devin Booker. I've always liked the Phoenix Suns because like they have the best colors. Yes, that's why.
They do. But it's also like it's hard because okay, so I'm married to someone who was brought up in LA, who was a Lakers fan because like I feel like you couldn't be born in the Kobe era or like grow up in the Kobe era and
not be a Lakers fan from LA.
Right. Sure. So there was like one time, so I decided my WNBA team was the Connecticut Sun, right? They are the only pro sports team, or they were, I don't know if they still are, but at the time they were the only pro sports team owned by a tribal nation. So I thought that was really cool. I called him and I told him, I said, I think I'm going to be a Connecticut Sun fan, or I said a Sun fan. And he thought I meant the Phoenix Suns. And he was like, no, you're not. And at first I was like, first off, you're actually a very calm, subtle guy. So like for him to be that bold, but he thought I was switching my NBA team to the Suns. And I was like, no. Connecticut Sun, one, not Suns, plural.
You see him take his ring off and he's like, you think you know a person.
Right?
What? Did I just stroke out? What's going on?
This is a deal breaker, man. Wish you had told me this sooner.
You're telling me you're telling me Barkley over Magic? No.
Ooh.
We lost the Magic. Bye. Charles Barkley. When will Bradley Beal though be that much of a change, Jade? We've already had some questions with it.
So here's the thing I think about Bradley Beal in this situation. Bradley Beal's going to be a filler, right? He's going to fill in behind Kevin Durant, behind Devin Booker. It's not like in the Wizards where if he didn't show up, we're screwed. It's not like in the Clippers where they absolutely needed him to be the best Bradley Beal he could be because Kawhi and Paul George are injured all the time. Kevin Durant hasn't been injured that much in his career outside of like, big ones, but he doesn't have lots of long-term kind of nagging 3 weeks here, 4 weeks there injuries. And nor does Devin Booker. So like the fact that I would count on them to be more healthy than Beal's teammates have been in the recent past. I think it takes the pressure off him to have to show up in that big way that I think that part of his career's past personally. I don't think he's going to be able to be that guy anymore.
A slightly better sixth man?
Yeah.
Dropping some Lou Will stuff. Just go out there, grab a bucket.
Get buckets. You're trailing by 10. Bradley Beal goes in, buckets. That's what you need from him.
That's what he's always been for sure, was a bucket.
Yeah.
Was a bucket. Well, so there is a team in the Western Conference that at home they're a bucket. Away, they build a barn with all the bricks they got. That's the Houston Rockets. So you got
Shea on that one.
Right? I was like, that was really good.
So I gotta ask, because this one, are they like, granted, like it's the extreme right to the extreme left with wins and losses away, home. Is this a team though that can still kind of hover around this and then maybe actually make potential noise? Because they got kind of a veteran leadership there and some young talent. So, Jay, do you see some pieces kind of bouncing ahead for them, or is it just you had a good beginning of the season stretch and now you're going to be smacked with reality?
So we talked about this at the beginning of the season and I said what I said. I said, I don't trust it. I don't trust it this early in the season. I don't trust when new pieces get together and just click like that, because you didn't have to learn how to play together. It just happened. You don't have the mental part of, okay, how do we do this? Right? That thought process matters. We talk about basketball IQ all the time. When that doesn't come into play as a new team, that always concerns. And I say this because I'm a Raptors fan. We had a season like that where we went to the Eastern Conference Finals against LeBron. And it's like, we had no business being there. We had no business being in the Eastern Conference Finals. We overperformed that season massively. And it was one of those things where it just clicked. And then the next season, we were exactly where we should have been, which was a second round out. It's like we switched gears. So every time I see a team that really kind of just like that, I'm not convinced. And if we want a little frame of reference for this, the Warriors last season were a team that were garbage on the road. And their season didn't end very auspiciously last season either. And I see a parallel there of you can win at home. You need to be 500 on the road, right? That needs to be your goal. You need to be 500 on the road. You are no wins on the road a quarter of the way into the season. That's a long climb to come back from.
Do you, Shay, they got a guy that's got some swagger that likes to cause some drama with Dylan Brooks.
Yeah.
How big of a key do you think with that swagger, that attention has helped, or how has it affected this Rockets team? Because you got vets that can deal with it, but then, like I said, you got some real young talent that may not be ready to get that media attention yet.
I think it's affecting it. I mean, in some ways, I'm happy that Dylan Brooks is in some like a smaller or less relevant team right now, because then he's not getting, the ego isn't being stroked in the same way. But I'm sure that there are influences happening, because like that's like not the, I don't know, like it works for Dylan Brooks in a certain way, but I could see other younger players thinking that they could get away with certain, I don't know. It's a hard thing. It's just like, it's kind of like returning to the John Morant like issue of like, is it wrong? Is it bad? Are basketball players just gonna like be themselves no matter what? Do they need that kind of like motivation from another seniority player, or like?
Well, and here's my concern with the Dylan Brooks, Fred VanVleet combo is that they are both guys playing with a chip on their shoulder. And I said this to a Raptors fan. I said, listen, Fred played with a chip on his shoulder and it propelled him from being undrafted to where he is, but he failed to discard that chip when it was no longer necessary.
Right.
Which is why, in my opinion, his last season in Toronto was not what we needed from him. And so the fact that now they're together, I worry that they're going to feed that with each other. And then that energy is not going into being teammates, winning games, all that kind of stuff.
That makes sense.
What about Uncle Jeff?
Uncle
Jeff is in that locker room.
Yeah, but they still haven't won on the road. So
yes, true. But do you think that with having Uncle Jeff is going to prevent a little bit of the unnecessary locker room chatter?
I would hope that it would. I don't know how much, this is something I'm going to think about probably this week. I don't know how much veteran presences are. I feel like that is shifting a little bit in the NBA, where it's not quite as important if you are not able to be active on the floor. So like, I mean, I don't care about the Rockets. I really don't care how they do or whatever, but
I mean, straight up, I get that.
For now, like they got to find a
conference. Like literally, there is no reason besides doing this. There's really no reason for them to be on your radar.
None whatsoever.
None.
Like, I feel that completely. And anyone that listens that a Houston fan, I'm sure there's exact teams like us. So be nice. But a team that I'm excited to be checking out, though, as much as they also scare me, is the Pelicans. Zion is back. They're getting CJ back from a scary health issue. Glad that he's okay with that now. Their issue has always been never healthy. They have a healthy team right now that's all playing with the chip on their shoulder. Jose Alvarado, he's back being GTA, fitting how the new game is coming out.
Right. By the way, but
Shay, like, what are you expecting now from them with having all of the pieces back, like in full? Like, where are they going to continue going in this Western Conference?
Well, I mean, my biggest fear is always that Zion's just going to be out again. Every time they get something working, Zion is not reliable. And that sucks because when he's on, he's great. I love the CJ McCollum like partnership. I think New Orleans in general, they have a really good fan base that's like very loyal to the Pelicans.
Brandon Ingram's playing really well.
He's that oh man, he's the new mid-range. I mean, he's always been there, but like now when you think of mid-range shot, it's like Jimmy Butler, DeMar DeRozan, Brandon Ingram, just guys that in the mid-range game.
That dude though always looks baked. He has resting high face.
Always.
Like 100% of the time.
And now we know for sure that he is, because he doesn't get tested for that.
No?
Well, they stopped testing for it this season.
A couple
this season?
Last season
they did. It started off because Al Harrington showed David Stern while David Stern was still alive and commissioner, was showing him like, hey, this is my real business in Colorado. Here's my number. This is what I actually do. This is a real business. And once David Stern saw that and then saw other just medical reports, he was just like, maybe I could look into this. And then Adam Silver just finished off what David Stern already had set up. So
okay. No,
back to the Pelicans though. I love that you mentioned Zion, Shay, because literally what I was thinking was, how many games did Zion Williamson play last season before he was out for the rest of the season? Would either of you like to guess how many games it was?
12.
It was 29.
Okay.
Okay, but the reason that this is relevant is because so far the Pelicans have only played 18 games.
Oh my gosh. So yeah.
Okay. So like, do I trust that Zion Williamson's going to continue to be healthy? Not till he plays 30 games, and even then I'm just waiting for it.
Right.
I want to know if he does get injured, what kind of injury? Is it an upper body one? I wouldn't worry too much about an upper body one because he hasn't had a history with that one.
That's fair.
Lower body, that's when I'd be like, when do you, Jade, say he gets injured at around that same time, God hoping he doesn't. Where does Pelicans look with him? Do they think about possibly just trading him because it's at this point, it's been 5 years almost, 5 seasons?
I mean,
at
a certain point, you have to think about moving on. And like, even with the 29 games before he got injured for the rest of the season, I'm looking at last season, he missed games 4 and 5. He missed games 14, 15, and 16. He missed games 31, 32, and 33 before he got injured in game in his 29th game, the team's 37th game. So like, even through those games, he sat out significant, like 3 games all back to back is a lot twice early in the season.
The minute restrictions too.
And also every time he comes back, he's on minute restrictions. Yep. So like at a certain point, you have to decide you're going to work around Zion Williams' lack of consistent availability and build around him. So like, all right, we have Zion when we have him. We're going to make the most of it while he's there. But here's the plan for when he gets injured. Because at a certain point, you have to start thinking about it as a when, I think.
Right.
Because I've heard stuff on like on podcasts and stuff about them being like, they're there, but are the Pelicans actually there?
Right.
Every piece should work out, but it just never clicks. But
yeah.
Well, I think we've gotten some good takes with that Western Conference. Shay, do you got some laughs for us today on Twitter?
I sure do.
You got some laughs for us. Let's swing it over. Twitter time, y'all. Twitter time.
Twitter. All right. This week we got some good stuff. I'm so excited. And these were all natural. I did not have to go hunting for tweets this week.
Ooh, nice.
I found like just scrolling. So I'm really excited. Okay, number 1 from it's the Airbuds Pod, which is patreon.com/airbudspod. Remember when LeBron drew Bart? So this is a screenshot. I don't know when this was. I did not know about it until this tweet. But LeBron, I guess, drew this and then just said, just messing and doodling around. Miss doing this all the time. Used to be my escape. Bart got a big ass head though. My bad, Bart. Been a while since I pick up the drawing emoji. So yeah.
Oh, you go,
I
Jade.
mean, it's not that bad.
I was just about to say, it's just enough to show that, no, there was a time and point where you actually did to draw. So like,
For sure.
I
For
kind
sure.
of believe that he actually, no, this isn't just a social media moment. Like, no,
Right.
this is actually what I used to do for fun that just nobody knew about.
Yeah.
It's just good enough to show it, but it's also bad enough to be like, nah, you haven't picked it up in a minute.
Like, honestly, this is one of the more endearing LeBron James things I've seen maybe ever.
Yep.
It's
maybe
like
ever.
kind of cute.
Yeah,
No,
it is.
It is. And yeah, it's better than me. Better than what I could do. Of course, here's another thing that LeBron James is at least decent at.
I mean, LeBron James is
Built
good at a lot of
differently.
things. He's just insufferable about it.
He's built differently.
He's built different.
He's built differently.
All right. From Clement Almanza, aka at C Almanza 1007. These usernames have gotten a lot harder to say. I'm just saying. I don't know if usernames have gotten worse or if I've just gotten worse at
I think they just ran out of the easy ones, and then you have to be inventive to have one that's available.
True.
What?
So Clement just tweeted Wonder. I think is how you would pronounce that because
That's so
all of the
funny.
games were W names.
Oh my gosh. How can they have that many W last names on the same team?
Because
Well, they
Besides
have
the fact-
William Williams.
I was going to say, besides the fact that both of those guys named Williams have the same first name too.
these are
Right.
actually all the future draft picks that they'll have for the next 10 years. That's just actually the names of
That's
all
funny.
the players.
So
I want them. Have you seen when Key and Peele do like the NFL players like
yes,
watching
it's
stuff
my
like that?
favorite
I
segment.
want
of
to
Key and
do
Peele.
that with them, and then except just do their last names.
just their last
I'm
name.
Williams.
last names.
Williams. I'm Wiggins. I'm Waters.
All right.
Oh
This
man.
one's for Jade. From Noor at Noor
Yes.
Zainab. Your fave NBA player when OG Anunoby is guarding him. Look
Damn
at
straight. Locked up. So this is funny that you do this because my roommate only gets to see Raptors games on the weekend because he works nights. So we usually watch whatever Raptors games are on the weekend, we watch on the weekends. And he's always talking about the other team's best players, about like, they're not that good. Why are they? And I'm like, listen, you only see him play against OG. You only see him play against, you don't see him play against anybody else because you only watch Raptors games. So like sometimes he's talking smack about players. I'm like, dude, you have no idea what you're talking about because OG's guarding him tonight.
But also, can we look at this picture? Who
Who put their
Man.
grandma in a giant bird cage?
like
I mean,
Said
she
something
seems
wrong at the Thanksgiving dinner table.
she seems happy to be there. She's smiling, so I guess it's okay.
She knew
Maybe
she said some
it's not
ratchet
good.
stuff, so
Granny got
Yeah,
ratchet.
I already said it anyway, so it's already been there.
well, it kind of reminds me of a flight I was on to Florida earlier this year where a lady spent the entire flight telling me about her 12 birds and showing me pictures. And I imagine she has a cage like this. It was like 2-hour flight and I could not get her to stop talking to me about these birds.
Oh my gosh.
So, you know, people have their hobbies. I'm whatever they are, birds, drawing, whatever, you know. And then where's this other one? I thought this one was interesting because maybe you guys know something that I don't. So Mavs Marie at Mavs Marie said Mavs fan, and then it's handshaking with hating Devin Booker. Team bonding. Do the Mavs hate Devin Booker?
This is news to me.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, there's some piece of information in the back of my head that I can't quite access that I feel like is relevant to this.
I wonder if
Like, you know how you have sometimes that little tickle in the back of your head?
Right.
Oh, of course, shit. It was Luca and Booker have that whole thing.
No, you're right.
That's what it is.
I forgot about that too. So
That's funny.
anyway.
I don't hate Booker, but I am a Mavs fan. So we know that my view on Devin Booker is just he looks like he's a created player on NBA 2K17. So
Booker's hard for me too because I've always really liked Devin Booker, but I love Luca too, and I've always had a soft spot for the Mavs. But that whole thing, man, was just like we need more of that in the NBA. It didn't turn into fists thrown. It didn't turn into any kind of real beef. It was all just on the floor in the game. Oh, that was amazing.
It's not
And,
rapper beef.
I love having a little bit of tension.
Just a little, like you gotta have a little. It's not a competition if there's not a little bit of tension.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like really.
Leave it on the court though.
For sure.
All right. And for my last tweet, I'm doing my own. Shay at Shay Watches NBA. These are pictures from the last time I was on a basketball team. So
you know
there
you
we
dropped
go.
20.
They're
You're
really high
so
quality.
cute. You're so cute.
That looks like a player that drops 20 and 10 with 4 steals a game right there.
Boom.
That's 20 and 10 at Lincoln Elementary School.
That's right.
That's 20 and 10 right there. That's buckets.
And it's great because I changed my like AV recently to this cat playing basketball. So sometimes I like to let people know that, like, yes, I am a real person. I don't really look like fully like this anymore because I'm an adult. But you know, I don't want
Just
people
show
to
the
think I'm a
true
troll.
hooper in you. Show the true hooper.
It's right there. And underneath, I'm wearing like a Pensacola, Florida tourist shirt. Like I didn't even have a proper undershirt. It was just some shirt.
Why?
That's amazing.
Why are you 21? That's not your number.
I just got given it. I was so upset. I remember this. I was upset. It was the closest number to 24. But like we didn't get to pick our jerseys. They just like ordered them. And it was, like, whatever fits. Yeah.
I did have a split second 21 phase because of Garnett.
Okay, so now I'm gonna change the lore. This is because of Kevin Garnett.
Or Tim Duncan.
Yes, I forgot that there's like some great players that like.
I knew you had a 21 thing because in this sketch that I did that eventually became our logo, I asked, this was before Shay joined, and I asked what number you would be. And that's why there's a 21 in this picture. Because that's Taylor right there.
I'm trying to think Dominique Wilkins, he was 21. I'm blanking on some other players right now. Try there, I think of 21, but that's a good group of people to be a part of, at least.
At least, you know, the one time I played basketball, I was number 21. There you go, guys. And like, yeah, I've never put my own tweet on here before, so sorry if that's like against the rules, but I make the rules.
Damn straight. We're all part of NBA Twitter. All our tweets are game.
Someone thinks, oh, okay. Narcissists putting their own stuff on there. You don't see me plugging my stuff. Whatever. But all right, now last thing we're gonna hit up today is the in-season tournament. I kind of want to hear all your kind of takes now, as it is now kind of officially been going and stuff, and it's soon to be in. Jade, what is your take?
So I feel like this week I really started to grasp the bigger picture of the in-season tournament because it was Halliburton specifically, but somebody else, I can't remember who, both of them said this is the biggest game of their career in the games that were played yesterday and the day before. And I thought to myself, oh, damn, this changes things for NBA teams because as things stand right now, if you get drafted 1st through 5th, which means you're presumably getting drafted by the previous season's 5 worst teams.
Right.
You could get drafted and never play a playoff atmosphere game for like 7 or 8 years. Because your team is not there.
No, yes. I know that.
But now with this tournament, the tournament atmosphere is crazy and the players are taking it seriously.
Yeah.
So now you have these bigger games, these playoff games, these games where players have to find their stability, their mental toughness, because both teams are trying so hard to win and it feels like a playoff game. So what that means is that every season that there's a new team heading to the playoffs, I'm always like, no, they have no playoff experience. It doesn't matter how good they did in the regular season. They're a new roster with no playoff experience. It's not going to matter. The in-season tournament could change that because it's giving them an opportunity to be in that same mental space. Because the playoff thing is not about how you play so much, especially as a playoff team. And this happens where you have a 50-win regular season, but it's your first, it's that roster's first playoffs, or it's the first time they've gotten through the first round. This gives players that experience of those high pressure, high games. Also, the fact that they're playing nationally. Indiana never gets national televised games.
Right.
But now they do because they're playing so well, and now everybody sees them. Everybody knows. And looking at the players that have advanced to this final couple of games, we got the Pelicans. I don't expect the Pelicans to be a big playoff team this season. I don't expect Indiana to be a big playoff team this season, but they are getting playoff style experience. So that is going to change the dynamic moving forward when you've got young teams that are finding their way. They could end up winning the in-season tournament, and now they're in the playoffs, and now it's a different game because they've had experience in those big stages already. So I'm just so excited about it. So to Matt, who thinks that it means nothing and it's not important, sorry, you're wrong. There's a bigger picture here. And this is what it looks like. Then this is only the first season. They're going to build on this. And this tournament, it's not going anywhere. It's been a smashing success. And it's going to change the landscape of what these younger teams are capable of doing towards the end of the season.
Because it could be like last season where Utah and San Antonio started off real hot. Right. So it would have been around roughly the same time. So even though they ended up as the worst teams, they could have at least won the in-season tournament and then have at least that to it. That is a complete toss-up because since there's so few games, it's more so, did you have a good night?
Yep.
Did you come off of back-to-back and it was turning? But Shay, I want to hear your take right now as it has gone by and things make a little bit more sense.
Things do make more sense. I know I've been skeptical and been it's just too complicated, but it does make more sense. I do agree that I am happy that two of the teams that are left are people that we probably won't see again in the playoffs. I think it is disappointing though I wouldn't be surprised if it was orchestrated, because I'm a conspiracy theorist, that the Lakers are in this, because I'm just sick of the Lakers. And I'm not even saying that they're not doing good. They are. They have a good record right now.
They're clicking. I hate saying this, but they're
clicking. And I hate how effing well LeBron James is playing. What? Yeah. Let me pull up his stats real quick. So this season, he's averaging... Okay, so LeBron James and I have a special relationship right now because I just realized that when LeBron James retires, I will officially be older than every single player in the NBA. LeBron James is the last NBA player that's older than me. He's 2 months older than me. So that's where my kind of direction is coming from within this year. So he's averaging 24.7 points, 7.6 rebounds, 6.5 assists. He's shooting almost 55% from the field, almost 40% from three. His free throws are 69. That's low for him.
Yeah.
But the rest of it, his effective field goal percentage, 61%.
Not bad.
What is going on with this guy? And I'm starting to get annoyed. I'm starting to get annoyed because he's starting to get into that territory where I can't be no, it was Jordan. Jordan's the GOAT. He's starting to encroach on doing things where I'm not going to be able in good conscience to say that anymore.
He added a new move to his repertoire, and it's not even that big of a move. It's just him spinning the ball in his hand and then throwing up the 3-point shot. Paul George.
I always did that when I shot threes.
Paul George was talking about it on his podcast, and he's like, we know he's going to do it every single time. And we know once he spins the ball, he's going to shoot it, but he still makes it. And he's like, I can't get it. It's infuriating. And he's going to do it. And he rarely pumps fakes out of that shot. So usually you could just go straight for that. But no, there are those few teams there that it's like, regardless, you are going to make it because you're that good. And sadly, the Lakers are in that realm.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I
I think
like
that's
it
my
either.
biggest complaint. But, it's also not like they don't deserve it, which is frustrating. But I
Well-
also thought it was interesting that, like, looking at the Ringer, I saw that where was it? Now I gotta find it again. There was something about like 5 of the Pelicans players are still traced back to that AD trade. So it's interesting to see that they're both in this, just because, like, again, usually the idea of trades, right, is that you think it's going to benefit you in a way that you're probably going to be better than the team that you trade. So the fact that they're both like still in this, I'm like, good for the Pelicans.
That's some nice symmetry that and basketball guys are giving us there.
Yeah, I like that.
No, so what is, one more thing on it. If there was one thing that you would change about this, is it the courts? Is it the jersey? Is it the so obvious version that originally this was just a money grab? Jade, I'm going to start with you on this one.
I think I've bad-mouthed the courts enough, so I'm going to pick something else this time.
About that.
I think, and this is something, I can't take credit for this. This is something Jack Armstrong, who's one of the Raptors commentators, was saying. I want to see something in it for the team as an organization, whether it's a couple extra balls in the draft lottery, something that instead of just the players getting extra money and trophies and bragging rights, make it relevant for the team's growth moving forward. Give them, I don't know exactly what that would look like, but I think that's the piece that really gets everybody kind of locked in. But beyond that, like, it's been so good. Please have LL Cool J have the opening song forever and ever. Like, every time it comes on, I'm like, yes.
And they got Michael Imperioli to do a bunch of those commercials. So Christopher from The Sopranos.
Yeah, I was going to say that too.
I'm like, okay, like that's the demographic they're going for. You know what I mean? It's like, it's fun to see the marketing around it.
I think if, like, going off of like the incentive for the organizations, if they're a team that ends up in a lottery, you get a couple extra ping pong balls. If you are a playoff team, your seeding you might get a little bit of leniency on where you're seated in the playoffs. So maybe with the play-on situation, maybe if you're that 7 seed, maybe you don't have to worry about it. Maybe, or at least there's a point situation towards the end of the season with that.
Yeah, so something that makes it more than just competition for the beginning of the season. Like, they nailed that part. Yes. Let's make it a more rounded out award.
And you have to incentives for both sides of the spectrum of the teams that are contenders and stuff like that, and the teams that need the help with the team. Because, like, teams with contenders, that fixes our playoff seeding. Well, then maybe that also affects where their drafting is at.
Right.
So then there's that, or say they've gotten trades in the past. Okay, well, all those picks going to the Thunder, they maybe not be as useful as when they originally did the trade as it could be, depending on the in-season tournament. Just some ideas. I hope they don't press it too fast.
That's what I'm glad you said that, because I've been thinking about that while I'm watching too. It's working really well. Don't change too much too fast.
Adam Silver loves doing that.
Yeah. I mean, and I understand. That's the way business works. Business moves fast, and that's the business side of basketball. But it's not always the most fun part of basketball.
Nope. Danny Ainge is really good at it.
Yeah.
Danny Ainge is real good. Shay, would you have any particular changes right now, or since it's brand new, you got pretty much you're okay with how it is?
I mean, with how successful it is, I just hope that the NBA thinks about it a little more thoroughly, because this, from everything I've read, was more thrown together.
It
And
did come together really fast.
yeah, so I feel like if they put a little bit more intention, it would be even more smooth, successful. So I don't know. Like, I think if the NBA is going to continue to experiment, they have the money, they're going to invest in stuff like this. They might as well just do it big, because it's obviously people want basketball. People want basketball.
Here's the other thing I will say, that if it was up to me, would happen before they make any changes to the tournament at all. You need to fix the officiating. You need to start tracking deflections, charges taken, and the hockey assist. Like you've improved the flash of the game, improved the meat of the game, improve the way the game itself is. The players can handle it. The players
Yeah.
can handle any of this now. Like the NBA is so talented right now. Improve the game from the very bottom. Make the quality of the product as good as the marketing is.
Those are the intangibles that you can finally put the numbers for, so players actually see that.
Yes.
Care to look at the numbers, like can being like, oh, I have this many. And then it also help at defensive player of the year at the end, where it's not always a big man. It could be
Right.
like, say, Marcus Smart when he won, where it's like, no, he had all these deflections.
Exactly.
He had all of these like side stuff. He was the one diving. He was taking the charges. There's so many things where if you
And
put it on the stat sheet, he's up there.
Here's the thing. We track turnovers. What causes turnovers? Deflections a lot of the time. So why are we tracking it on one side and not on the other?
Like, and it doesn't have to be, okay, sometimes judging on grabbing a loose ball, that might be hard to track, but saying
Right.
like, at least like, yeah, deflections, poke the ball loose. Maybe you put those things together. Something
Or you get your hand on a pass.
Exactly.
You know?
Something where, like, if more selfish players that are looking for numbers, well, it makes them at least put forth that extra effort because they're going to get that stat, that relay passing, that hockey assist.
It's just a more complete picture of what's happening. And I think those are the things that have not developed in pace with the talent, the officiating and what we're tracking in terms of kind of the more outside but really important, like deflections and charges taken and the hockey assists. Those are important, and if we were tracking them, I think we would see instantly how important they are and which players all of a sudden their stock comes up immediately if we put numbers on those things.
They will. Yes, you can see a lot more players have value for a lot longer too.
Yes,
because there's players in the league that will be, you can see that they're great at defense, but you don't see those numbers. You only see the offensive numbers, and
Yep.
you're like, oh, well, he can't shoot at all.
Like, how are we awarding a defensive player of the year award on blocks, steals, and defensive rebounds?
It doesn't make sense.
That's the one time where I'm glad analytics are around, because I'm looking, at least for like the big men, it's they have an analytics stat of how many times players drive in and then either drive back out or kick out.
Yeah, that matters.
And Rudy Gobert leads the league with that. That's why I've always had to defend, okay, why his blocks have gone down. It's because no one puts a shot up to him.
Right, because he's that good. He's that good at blocking that he no longer needs to block.
He doesn't need to block.
Like, that's crazy.
Both him and Cat are 1 and 2 for best defensive rating as a big man. Cat has never been good at defense, but now since he doesn't have to be constantly the go-to big man for defense,
yeah,
it looks so much smoother for him. But that just goes back to the defensive numbers that should be. We have all the ways to do it, to look up stuff. It's not just doing pen and paper.
Right. And it's not like you have to track deflections during the game. You can figure that out later.
Exactly. That's why they got replay.
Right.
But okay. Well, I think we've all agreed that our views on the in-season tournament has flipped a bit. And I think we had a good time with it. Next year we have our little issues with it, but overall I'm not complaining anymore
I'm
about
on
it.
board. I'm on
It's-
board.
It's pretty solid. So in-season tournament, hitting up the Eastern Conference. Celtics doing better without Smart. Magic and Pacers. Halliburton's going to be one of our favorites for years to come. Cleveland, where are they? Is the sun shining bright? Houston, it looks like they're landing. And Pelicans, hopefully they can soar across the bayou. I don't know for sure. They got a big creature called Zion Williamson doing the flow with it. But okay, so right before we wrap up today, we're going to do the fast break where I have 3 questions that Shane and Jade have zero knowledge about, and I hope to stump them. Okay, so how many players are still in the league that also played with Kobe?
Oh,
Oh.
jeez.
A, 2 people. B, 4 people. C, 6 people. D, 8 people.
6.
6 jumped out at me too for some reason. I'm going to say 6.
I was thinking 6 even before you said it, so we'll see. But
It is 4.
Damn. Okay,
It
so
is-
wait. Let's see if we can figure that. Obviously, it's LeBron.
No, he never played with. He
He
never
never
played
played with Kobe.
He's played with Kobe. He's played with him.
I don't think I can figure that
LeBron's
out.
the oldest player in
He
the
never
league.
played with Kobe.
I'm
Think
so
about-
So, like,
confused.
on a team with him?
Played with Kobe on
Oh,
a team.
Played with him
Gotcha,
on
gotcha,
a
gotcha.
team.
On a team.
Okay. I don't know. I don't even know where to start.
Right? I'm like,
Julius Randle, D'Angelo Russell, Jordan Clarkson, Larry Nance Jr. Those were the 4 guys that were there for Kobe's 60-point game.
Wow.
They were the last players that had played in the league with him. That's how it's when I figured that out. That's how long ago it has been.
Brandon Clarkson, you said?
Jordan Clarkson. Jordan Clarkson.
Clarkson. Crazy.
Yeah. Okay. Question 2. And I'm not going to give you any player name for this one. This one you got to think yourself.
Okay.
Which player in the NBA has played with Jimmy Butler, LeBron James, and Jalen Brunson? I'll give you 2 clues in the fact where it is a beloved player and has now turned into a journeyman.
Journey?
Jimmy Butler, LeBron James, and Brunson.
Like I said, beloved player has turned into a journeyman.
Well, Brunson's only played for Dallas and New York. So that narrows it down a little bit. I got nothing.
Got nothing?
I don't know.
Carmelo. I don't know.
Derrick Rose.
Ah!
Oh, damn it. Derrick Rose. He's had a couple of good games this season.
He has, but I feel bad for him because they're having him as like a backup, and he's just or like a backup, and he's just like, no, this is not what I came here for. You guys were a good team. I came for a good team.
Yeah,
Right.
Which that's a guy, he won't get a ring.
probably not.
He won't.
Unlikely.
And he is probably the one for me in the league right now is the most deserving of one. But whatever.
I gotta go Chris Paul for that for me.
Chris Paul,
Yeah.
over the past years, he's really starting to annoy me more.
Russell Westbrook.
All right. So speaking of players, I wish that got a title, and I know Jade and probably Shay don't really give a rat's butt about which alcohol does Carmelo Anthony sponsor?
I've
A,
seen this. I've seen the commercials.
whiskey,
Ah!
B, bourbon, C, wine, D, tequila.
It's a tequila.
I was gonna say it's gotta be tequila.
It's wine.
Is it?
Really?
He's like a wine sommelier.
I would not have guessed that for him.
No. And I think he has a new podcast coming out.
Okay, speaking of podcasts, and I promise this is kind of relevant. Okay, Would either of you have ever guessed that Charles Barkley would be doing a like hard-hitting current events podcast with Oprah's best friend?
Is he?
Yes, on CNN.
I did not know this.
Okay,
Because you haven't been watching basketball because there's commercials for it all during the national games.
That's also though because the basketball games I get are not who I want to watch. Okay, why do I live in Brooklyn and I don't get Nets games?
I am giving you guys the win for the Carmelo thing because you just said you just saw something with Carmelo Anthony. He just signed with 1800 Tequila.
See? I didn't know that.
But he does have his own wine.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Like I think so. Has launched his own wine, the Seventh Estate. He's been trying to do it for 3 years.
Yeah, it's not easy to just start with wine from nothing.
No, true. One last thing, fun fact about Carmelo Anthony that I love is that him and Stan Lee almost made a basketball superhero crime fighting kid. They almost made a comic book for it, but things fell through because they were about to start doing Iron Man. And I was like, you got to
focus on Iron Man.
I can understand why they were like, comic books have gotten us here, but movies are going to take us to places. So, but okay, well, at least 2 of the 3 questions I was able to stump you with. I'll take that. And even then, I want to give myself half a credit because you guys didn't know the wine, but I didn't know the tequila. So at least it's his own wine and not just sponsoring 1800 Tequila.
Sure.
Yes.
Not Shaq with the General Epson, Annie Ann's, Papa John's.
And the 1,000 other things that Jack endorses.
Exactly. Okay. Well, speaking on someone that should endorse us, people endorse us, brands. I love blank product. Put us there. See you guys later. Be here next week. Sorry we were a day late. That was my fault. Blame me. But we are going to be back. See ya.